All right, guys. Sorry for that break in video. I have a free screencast. What is this called? Software. So, yeah, I can only do a certain amount of time. Anyway, this is our last one. So thanks for hanging in there. You're almost done. We'll look at Hinduism, Buddhism, and Confucianism, and then we'll be done. So again, I was talking a little bit about we're about to look at the what we call the East Asian. Whoa, I just said that really weird. East Asian religions, and also our polytheistic religion. So we'll jump into those now. So Hinduism is extremely old. Um, we have briefly touched on this, remember, when we talked about the Indus River Valley civilization or India. This is where Hinduism grows out of, is out of India and the culture of the Indus River Valley civilization. Extremely old, polytheistic religion, multiple gods. There are many gods they believe, Hindus believe, make up this all-powerful force called Brahman. This idea of sort of the gods being everywhere and Brahman being a part of everyday life. Hindus have written down over time their teachings, and first they were in the Vedas, and so this is their religious text. The Vedas, very important to Hindus. One of their most well-known beliefs is Hindus do believe that you are reincarnated, that you will come back in your next life as something new. Because of reincarnation, Hindus believe that all life is sacred because all life has something really special in it. No life is worth more than another. Um, as far as animals, humans, things like this. This is why most Hindus are vegetarian. They don't eat cows. And people will say, oh, that's so silly or whatever. But they believe that there's a life inside of it. And so this idea of reincarnation also comes out of their idea that it takes you many times, many tries, many chances to achieve oneness with Brahman, to kind of get on the level of that all-powerful force. So that's the point of reincarnation. Other really famous ideas of Hinduism, of course, would be karma. People love to talk about this. High schoolers love to say karma, you get what you had coming. Justin Timberlake said, what goes around comes around. That's right, JT. So karma, all actions affect a person's fate in the next life. So if you're putting out bad energy, you're going to receive bad energy either in the short term or in the long term. But same way, if you're putting out good energy and you are really working to help others, then that karma is going to come back to you in a good way. So many other religions believe this. They might just not call it karma, but it's certainly something that has been ingrained not only into Hinduism and Indian culture and culture in East Asia, but also cultures around the world. Whatever you put out there is what you're going to receive. Um, there's another word that sometimes people will get confused with karma, and that's dharma. And dharma is basically what you should do. What is your duty, your religious and moral duty? And this is a word that comes out of the Hindu religion. So you have a certain dharma to act in a way that produces good karma, or you have dharma, you have a duty to be nice to your sister or whatever. So you get the idea. Okay, now this is really essential as far as culturally. Out of Hinduism and out of India, remember we've got that caste system. You'll recognize this word. That's the system of social hierarchy in India and out of this place. What I want you to know about the caste system, very ingrained. Whatever caste you are born into is the caste that you are. You don't have social mobility. Remember those people on the bottom, the untouchables, no one can be around them. They're outcasts, they're ostracized. And this is all part of the caste system. Very strict, rigid social hierarchy. This is probably the one thing that people say this doesn't really make sense when we talk about Hinduism and all the things that Hindus believe and how peaceful they are and how much they believe life is sacred. Well, why do they have the caste system? That's a question I'd like you guys to think about. And let's see if we can find an answer. Why does the caste system make sense based on ancient India? Last big belief of the Hindus, of Hinduism, nonviolence, pacifism. Again, karma, don't put out bad things, don't put out violence because that's what you're going to receive. Life is sacred, so do not go around destroying the world and destroying each other. That is going directly against Brahman. That's destroying Brahman, the all-powerful force. And people should be instead working together to get closer, to have oneness with Brahman. All right, so we'll look at Buddhism lastly. So Buddhism, again, people are normally relatively familiar with Buddha. They might have heard of him before or seen an image of kind of the fat Buddha sitting Indian style and praying or whatnot. So we'll talk now about Buddhism. And again, East Asian polytheistic religion coming out of India, that sort of area of the world. So this is let's see, later than Hinduism, in 563 BCE, so 563 years before Christ is born, you have this guy named Siddhartha, and he is going to become the Buddha. This guy is really rich. He's the son of a prince, so he's noble. He has everything that he ever wants. He lives inside a really great castle, has never seen a problem in the world. One day he stumbles out of his home, of his castle, and he is blown away. The world sucks. That's what he thinks. He's like, wow, this is ugly. This is terrible. Everyone is suffering. Everyone is dying. He's never seen a sick person. He's never seen a poor person. And now Siddhartha is out in the world and he is disgusted and ashamed and blown away by all of the suffering that is present in the world. And so he begins to wander. He wanders for days and days. He's not eating, he's not drinking, he is just meditating. He is trying to find enlightenment or really just try to make sense of the world around him. Ultimately, he comes to a conclusion about what the world is like, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But once he comes to this conclusion, once he kind of makes his sense of the way the world works, he becomes the Buddha, which means enlightened one. So once he hits enlightenment, that's when Siddhartha transitions to Buddha. Now, what does he figure out? He figures out basically the Four Noble Truths, which are the central messages in Buddhism. Life stinks. It's full of suffering. That's what Buddhism says. But you're not hopeless. Even though you know that life is full of suffering, you can enjoy life if you accept it and if you move away from your negative mindset. So you cannot focus on how bad life is, or that just makes your life worse. So you have to know that life is going to stink in many cases, but you have to be willing to say that doesn't matter. It's all in my mind. If I can move past this mindset of this being horrible and this causing me to suffer, then it's not so bad. And that's one of the main ways to explain Buddhism, that yes, life is terrible, but you must accept it. You must not want life to be different than it is. Accept everything as it comes, and then you will find enlightenment. One of the things that Buddhists are doing when they believe the Four Noble Truths, they're following the Eightfold Path, which you'll have a chance to look up later on. It's just the different ways that Buddhists should live. They're ultimately trying, by living this way, they're trying to find nirvana, which if you are a 90s grunge rock fan, as I am, you will appreciate that Nirvana is a wonderful band who really changed the world of music. But if you're not a fan, then you should at least know that Buddhism has the principle of nirvana, which is basically saying for you to meet this, finally, this destination of pure bliss. And you escape all suffering once you have achieved nirvana and you have union with the universe. You're no longer having to try to get your life right. You're no longer having to fix your mindset, but you have achieved this ultimate bliss, and you have union with the universe. And that's nirvana. Doesn't that sound great? So that's Buddhism in a very quick nutshell. All right, lastly, we're going to move on to Confucianism, and this is one of the main religions, or I should say moral belief systems in China. There are others as well. There's Taoism, In China, there's Shintoism in Japan, but for us, we're going to look at the largest, and that's going to be Confucianism. And this is not necessarily a religion in the way that we think of it. There's not necessarily a God. Instead, it's a moral belief system. So there is a set of rules for people to follow. So you've got its moral conduct, and it's all coming out of Confucius. And we can think of Confucius almost as a philosopher as we think of Socrates and Plato. He's a ancient Chinese scholar. So Confucianism, again, China. Confucius is a Chinese scholar who creates in 500 BCE, so kind of around the time of Buddhism. He's creating this set of teachings of how people should live. This set of moral conduct changes the way that Eastern people, Chinese people, and other Asians, as this spreads, how they will live. You read a little bit about this in your Chinese dynasties readings from a few weeks ago when we talked about ancient Chinese civilization. This is why the Chinese civilization and culture really emphasized order, really emphasized being polite to your ancestors, being polite to your family, showing kindness, love, and respect. Again, following these moral principles, morality and order was very important. Virtue was very important to the ancient Chinese. So, not necessarily religious and God worshiping the way that we think of our other religions, but instead a system, a way to live based on a code that made sense to these people and in their culture. Um, One really famous piece of Confucianism that people might not know is from this time period or this era, or this group, is the idea of yin and yang. So all things in life are in balance, good and evil. There's a little bit of evil in all good. There's a little bit of good and all evil. Did I just say that right? I don't know. I hope so. Anyway, you get the point. Um, Trying to achieve balance through order, through people following these beliefs, being polite, accepting their position in society. That's a huge piece so that all things can be in balance. Okay, so that's all of the details for the religions. Whew, that's pretty long. Um, Now, to show me that you made your way through these videos, you need to submit this exit ticket, even though it's in the middle of class, most likely, hopefully. I want you to do this, that way I can see that you worked on this, okay? So, and you powered through, power hour. All right, so submit this exit ticket. I would like you to do this on Google Classroom. So on Google Classroom, submit this exit ticket, respond to these prompts, show me that you guys have an understanding of these religions. Also, if you have any questions about these religions, include that on your exit ticket. That's something that I can see while I'm out and that I can bring back on Monday and be ready to answer any questions. So complete this exit ticket, put it on Google Classroom, and put in any questions. All right. Thanks for watching. Y'all be good. I miss you guys, and I hope you have a lovely weekend. See you Monday.